Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Real Euro Football Talk. It is myself, as always, Coach Mele, along with actually, I don't know if Coach Lira knows this, he's actually my boss, Coach Sebastian Fandert, here in the GFL South. And we have another special episode. Actually, this is on the eve. This is a little special shout out to myself because my birthday's tomorrow, but we're doing this right now. We could be celebrating on the eve of Corona, but no. Anyhow, we have a special guest today, and this is something I've been kind of wanting to do for a while to give more exposure to American football, actually more North America. And we have the honor of having Coach Hugo Lira with us today. He is from, and let's get this right, from Borregos Campus Puebla, right?
Right.
Because like we just talked in the pre-talk, and just so everybody knows, sometimes guys get complicated with it. We have AFI, American Football International. They did a rankings. Insider Japan did a rankings too, and they did one post a few, I think, months ago, which kind of had a list of how many Borregos teams there are in Mexico and how complicated it can be. But how's everything going on your end now in Mexico right now?
Well, we are adapting to this kind of work in the house. The home office starts at 8 in the morning and ends like in midnight. So it's kind of hard, especially for us as a coaches. We have to follow our players in academics and workouts and everything by working with Zoom or other platforms to keep track, because we are hoping to get back in business and start with practice at the football field.
Okay. Quick question, because we talked about a little bit in the pre-talk. How is that right now for you guys? Because, of course, you guys have some sort of lockdown going on and so forth. But what are the restrictions that you have right now with your team? What are you allowed to do and what are you not allowed to do?
Well, fortunately for us, we don't have limits like in the NCAA, because coaches cannot have like meetings by Zoom and talking for about football with the players. For example, we don't have that problem. We have like meetings and installs with the teams, with the players, and we are working. We are following them with the platforms that we have, like Huddle and everything we can use by internet. So we don't have any trouble doing that. We have to adapt as a coach to use like other ways to keep working with the players. For example, last week we start using Nearpod, Canva.com and other platforms to test the players, the playbooks and everything. So it's kind of fun and to learn something new for do our job. So we're trying to be competitive right now.
Yeah. Where you are normally right now? You're in preseason, season, or where you are normally right now?
Well, our schedule is pretty much like in USA. We have, like, for example, in this part of the year, we were ending the spring camps, for example, at this part of the year. But we start with the workouts and working in the gym and on the field from January. And then during the summer, we have like the summer camp. We have 5 weeks to work with the team, because the student athletes have classes during the summer also. Yeah. So they are at school training with us. And then we have the fall camp, just like USA, during August. And we start our league normally in September. I don't know if we want to have some troubles to start early September. Probably at the end of the September, we have our regular season. But we don't know yet. But probably we start at September at some point. I hope so.
Yeah.
Right now, also, because I know, I think you guys posted some stuff, I think maybe a month ago, some workouts in the gym. Is there something, do you guys have restrictions for the players being allowed to work out in the gym, or how is that?
No, no restrictions. We have, we are our coach, our strength and conditioning coach, is a coach from USA. Actually, he was part of Berlin Thunder, I think in 2000, with Coach Peter Bass,
That's
Coach Ron McKeefrey.
yeah.
He's our strength and conditioning coach, and he sent us the workouts, the whole plan for the team for the whole year, and he is following the players and the staff. So we are doing this from 2018. So we have two years working with Coach Ron, and it's been a great experience.
So right, because I know the funny thing is you mentioned it. I'm a good friend of Ron. He does everything through Train Heroic, right? That's what you guys have too.
Yes, exactly.
He helped me out last year when I was in Gdynia, and he actually updated our workouts the other day, and I have actually an access to it. But so basically, your players are accessing that through the app and then doing it on their own in the gym. Is that how it is right now?
Well, we don't have gym right now. I mean, some of the players have some equipment, but not everybody. So we are using like the I don't know how to say this in English. The water bottle, like this big.
Okay, yeah.
Like 20 liters.
Okay, I got you.
So we are using that, and some kettlebells and rubber bands. But Coach Ron has another workouts for this kind of equipment. So we have two workouts. One for the ones that have access to gym equipment, and the other one is for the one that who doesn't have equipment enough.
And you were saying you guys are, I mean, as coaches, you're being challenged to kind of like keep track of the guys and everything. I mean, how are you keeping track of the guys that, let's say, have equipment, don't have equipment? This is also with the app that you guys are making sure to check that they're doing stuff, because like you just said, right now is preparation, and you have basically spring football. Like, how is that for you in terms of watching over them and trying to see that they are preparing somehow?
It's been a challenge. We use everything, all the tools that we can have. For example, some of the coaches, well, my politic as a head coach is every unit coach or position coach is like a head coach for the unit. He's the leader of the unit, so he's in charge of everything in the unit. So, and in that position. So every coach has to decide when they meet by like Zoom, for example, and they work out in front of the camera, in front of the computer, and the coach is watching them at the same time. Sometimes it's not possible because the school is still going on, and the student athletes has their classes at the same schedule that they used to. So sometimes they are not at the meeting with the coach, and they do by themselves. They send picture or video, and also with the app, with the Train Heroic, you can have a resume of the session. So they send that like screenshot, and the coach they could see the results, and they following the workouts that way. So it's like a combination.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
No, I mean, I could imagine, like you were texting me a little bit, and you talked about, it's like you're saying this is the most work you've had, not having them on the field. And I can imagine, like you just said right now, you're using basically every tool to try to keep track of them. I mean, it's a lot of work. And like you just said, they also have school. That's very interesting, because I remember reading something today that said, I believe Iowa Hawkeyes, or I forgot who it was, they just said they want to start practicing in a month, and that sends shockwaves throughout the NCAA, because the NCAA still hasn't said anything. And then it's interesting to see how you guys down in Mexico have a different kind of setup. You still have restrictions, but they're going to school and you have to try to get them ready. So that's very, very interesting. That's crazy. The other thing we'll talk about is how you've been there since, I believe, 2012 with the Borregos Salvajes Campus Puebla.
Right.
I mean, it's a long name. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to be honest. It's a lot. No, it's okay. How has that been just in regards to the development? Because like we see in the background, I mean, you have a gorgeous facility, and from what I know, a lot of people not love it.
Perfect.
We're going to go visit 100%. It's a shame you can't use it. But anyhow, for a lot of people, even out here in Europe and even in North America, they don't really know the development and the level of football in Mexico, because especially from what you just said, to be honest, when I hear everything and everything being the setup, this is like run like a Division I school, you know? I mean, from your personal experience and since you've been in the States and so forth, I mean, what can you say about the comparison to, let's say, Division I football in the States, your current setup that you have there?
Well, Mexico participate in the FISU football tournament, the FISU, and we got the championship against USA in 2018 and 2019. The countries that were in that tournament were like Japan, USA. In the beginning of this tournament, it was Sweden at Uppsala in 2014. So Mexico is just behind. I mean, talking about the football level, is just behind Canada and USA, and sometimes we are competing against with Japan for the third place in the world. I'm talking about our schools. Here we have the same system like in NCAA, about you have to have student athletes, not just athletes. So we are not a club, we are a college with teams. So I think it's the main difference from Europe, for example, that the sports are more similar, like in USA. I mean, you have sports at college, and you can have a scholarship for being part of a team, and that happened in football, soccer, baseball, basketball, what else? Tennis and other sports, depends of the schools.
Okay.
Even golf, for example.
Yeah, and
Here, a way to say our name is shorter is Tech Puebla.
Tech Puebla, okay. We'll do that.
Or Borregos Puebla. That's enough.
Okay.
But here in Puebla, we are. Last year, we were third place in our league. Our league was CONADEP. CONADEP is a league for private schools.
okay.
And the other leagues is more for public schools. But this year, 2020, we were unified in one league. So it's gonna be interesting, the competition this year. It's been from, I think the last time that happened was 2009.
Okay.
Probably I'm wrong, but it was 2009, the last time that we were all together playing in the same tournament. So this year is important for us because we are at one league at last. Sometimes we compete against some college in United States, Division III and Division II, and we are kind of the same level. I mean, talking about the football.
Yeah.
But in infrastructure is different, totally different. They have more better facilities, of course, better scholarships, and of course sometimes better athletes. I mean, in number, the roster is bigger than us. And for us in Tech Puebla, at the roster we have 63 players, but we are like in the middle, like some of the teams like Tech Monterrey Campus Monterrey, they are like 78.
Okay.
UDLA, Aztecas UDLA, they have the same number, like 78, 75 players, all student athletes with scholarship.
Okay.
And it's like this, like we have Division One teams, but not everybody has the same number of players.
Okay.
So we were in third place last year, but only with 63 players, for example. So we are like in the middle of the ranking for something to say.
Yeah. And how is the setup for the season when you say now that everyone want to come together? Is it like in the USA, you have a lot of ball games at the end of the year, or you have just a big national championship game? Like in Europe, the most time, you just have one big final for each league.
Well, we don't have like many bowls like in United States.
Yeah.
We have only one,
Yeah.
only one per league. I mean, last year we have like the championship game for CONADEP and the championship game for ONEFA, who is the league for public schools. Now we're at ONEFA, everybody.
Okay, that's the one.
At the end of the year, we have a bowl game, Aztec Bowl, and it was like all, I don't know how to say that, like we have like all Mexico from CONADEP and all Mexico from ONEFA, and we have a bowl, Aztec Bowl, playing each other, and ONEFA won the game for 1 point only, so it was a very good game.
Yeah.
But before 2019, we have like two bowls, one for CONADEP and one for ONEFA against college from United States. Sometimes, most of the time is against a Division III team.
Interesting.
Yeah, and how much spectators coming to a normal season game for your university, and how much spectators watching then the final?
Well, sometimes depends of the teams, but for example, in ONEFA, the final game, the championship game, it was the stadium was full. Many people, a lot of people, probably more than 20,000 people.
Wow,
It was big. In CONADEP, I think it was like 13,000
Yeah.
at the stadium.
Because I think 2 years ago, or maybe last year, no, 2 years ago, there was that European Warriors. There was also against Team USA in Mexico. I don't know if it was in your area, but the guys coming home and they were like, "Wow, we expect nothing. Mexico football, nothing." And I say, "Wow, it was a stadium. It was packed, and we beat the damn Americans." So Team Europe was like, they were fired up. They're like, "Wow, Mexico is a football country." But I also not really know. I just know Team Mexico from the World Cups always in American football.
Yeah, well, football in Mexico has more than 100 years, so it's kind of big here. We have, for example, here in our program, we have kids. We have youth football from 8 years old to college to 25 years old. Sorry.
Wow. And how about your journey? When you start with football, and how did, or where it brings you everywhere? I mean, Coach Mele already gets some points out, but where brings you American football to Europe and to the States, and how it starts your way as a player and as a coach?
You say how I get involved as a player?
Yeah.
Well, my father played when he was young at college, and my mother didn't like it at all.
Okay.
But when I was a little kid, I always wanted to play football. It was like my favorite sport ever.
Yeah.
But I couldn't practice football until I was 9 years old. Before that, I had to be in every sport that my mom want me to practice, like I don't know, swimming, soccer, basketball, gymnastics, all. But when I was 9 years old, I was every time I was asking for playing football. So when I was 9 years old, I started playing. I play youth football from 9 years old to 15 years old. Then I started in high school playing football in Querétaro. Querétaro, it's a city north to Mexico City,
Right.
like 2 hours by car, so not very far. And I started playing there, and somebody told me that there were a scholarship for playing football in some of the main college. So I got interested in be part of this journey. So I keep working, and then I got a scholarship in UDLAP. I got my major there. I play 4 years college level there, and then I got the chance to be in like the combine in Mexico for the NFL Europe. Some of the coaches from NFL Europe, like Sean Fatah, for example, they travel to Mexico, and they see the talent there. And I was invited to be in the training camp in Tampa Bay, Florida.
Yeah.
Then we have the national camp. The national camp means it was where every player from different country other than USA was there to compete for a spot in the teams of the
Not many,
NFL Europe.
5 per team or so, or there was not many national spots on this NFL Europe teams, or?
No, it was eight national for team. The roster was the total players of the roster were 48 players. So that means 40 spots for Americans and just only 8 places spots for non-American players.
Wow.
So it was kind of hard to get there. It was difficult because there were players from Germany, from Japan, Russia, Spain, Australia, Austria, everywhere. So it was really hard. Mexico participated in those camps sometimes with 10 players, 8 players. So it was hard. But at the end of this national camp, the teams decide who can go to the next phase, the next level, and we can go to be allocated in a team. For example, in 2003, I was allocated first of all in Barcelona Dragons. During the camp, they moved me to Berlin Thunder with Coach Peter Bass, and I played 2 scrimmages there with them with Berlin Thunder. Sean Fatah was the running back coach that year in 2003.
Yeah.
At the end of the camp, Coach Peter Bass told me, Hugo, I got good and bad news for you. So I was very nervous, but he told me the good news is that you're still traveling to Europe with the league. The bad news is you are not going with us because Frankfurt Galaxy asked for you to go with them. So you have to be transferred to Frankfurt. So I went to the hotel that where the Frankfurt Galaxy were there, and I had to learn another playbook before the season starts. So I had just 1 week to learn the playbook. It was kind of hard. So my first team in NFL Europe was Frankfurt Galaxy. The head coach was Coach Graver. My offensive coordinator was Coach Dwayne Painter. He was a great teacher, great coach. He was with the San Diego Chargers when they were in the Super Bowl. He was with the Dallas Cowboys also. So he was a great coach. And then we that year in 2003 we got the championship. We won the World Bowl.
Awesome.
against Rainfire.
Big
And
rivalry. Big
yes,
game.
big one.
Frankfurt Düsseldorf was always huge.
They compete in everything, also the beer.
Quick
Yeah.
question for you: How? Because I mean, you like you said, you came up the ranks. You played football for UDLAP, the Aztecas, and also the coaching there. How was that jump, just overall, you getting from camp to camp and now making it to, let's say, the Frankfurt Galaxy and ultimately winning a championship there and runners up? But how was that going from, let's say, Mexico to that? Was it what was the biggest obstacle for you? Like, what was the hardest part? Was it the talent, or was it more the system, or what was it? Or was it the environment for you?
Well, it was everything because, first of all, here in Mexico, I was running back, but my structure, my body structure, noise is not like a running back for a professional football. So I had to move from running back to wide receiver. So that was the first challenge was that. What was that?
Okay.
Because the fundamentals that you have to learn as a receiver in this level, it was really, really hard. I have to change the way I run, and that was hard. It took time. Also, the game speed, it was also hard to adapt because everything was moving so fast. My speed was okay, but my game speed had to adjust to this kind of level.
Right.
And also the playbook was, especially the Galaxy playbook, it was really hard because we use different personnel, like 20 personnel, 21 personnel, 10 personnel, 11 personnel, 12 personnel. So it was hard, and you have a lot of motions as a receiver. So it was hard, really hard for me because when I was running back, I only hear inside zone, counter, toss, and that's it. You stay just behind the QB, and that was it. So, but as a receiver, you have to move from all the field.
Right.
It was hard too,
Okay.
and also the language was hard for me because I learned English when I was at college. I went to Wisconsin La Crosse for a exchange program. I was there for 4 months, and that was it.
Okay.
The English that I have is from those 4 months that I spent in Wisconsin. So it was hard to learn to speak and understand English during those days with the team in Frankfurt. The culture was okay because I could speak English with people in the streets, and they understand me. So it wasn't that hard. I love Germany. It's my favorite country in Europe. I love the weather. I like because it's cold. I like that because in Mexico all the time is hot and rainy. Especially here in Puebla, you have a lot of rain. But I love it there.
You expect something like that when you're coming over, because the NFL Hero was a huge show, was with cheerleader, firework, city full with commercial about the game days. You expect something like that, or was just like a little surprise in also a soccer country, Germany?
No, I expect that at least at everything that is around football. I was expecting that because I saw the TV and everything, how it was really interesting.
Yeah.
But the thing that really surprised me, it was how say that. For example, that you mentioned that Frankfurt Galaxy and Renfire, they compete in both cities, compete in everything, food, beer, sports. So I was surprised of that how say that rivalry.
Right, yeah, the rivalry. Yeah, that's pretty big in sports. And what you like more? You were by two teams, so the Berlin Thunder and the Frankfurt Galaxy. When you look back, what was your? Of course, you win a World Ball with Frankfurt. That is always nice. But would you like more because Berlin Thunder was so the overall team in Germany? Everyone know. I think they're the record champion of the NFL hero Berlin Thunder. Would you like more?
Well, it's a difficult question because I love both cities. I love both teams, but my experience as a player, I had the chance to be more 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 game time in my last year in 2005 with Berlin Thunder.
Yeah.
And also because I was the fourth receiver there in Berlin Thunder. So when they called 10 personnel, I was the fourth receiver. So I play a lot with Berlin. In Frankfurt, I was like the fifth receiver. As you know, one of the rules in NFL Europe was that every time it had to be at least one national player in the game.
Yeah.
In every play. So in Frankfurt Galaxy, there was one of my good friends, Marc Zuma. It was a French receiver there in Frankfurt. So he was like a veteran there. So I was behind him. I was learning the position as a receiver. And also he was a great friend, great player. So I had to be behind him. So I didn't play a lot as a receiver, but I play a lot in special teams in Frankfurt. Also, I have a record in kickoff return. In 2004, we have in the World Bowl, I have the record for the longest kickoff return in the World Bowls. So the special teams were a big part of my life there in Frankfurt. In Berlin, it was both. I play as a receiver and I play in special teams. I was a special team captain that year in Berlin Thunder.
Coach Sebastian just said you were like the Mexican Julian Edelman.
He's also doing everything.
That's true.
Yeah, he was also doing everything.
I mean, we know the special team is very, very important.
Absolutely.
How did now that transition, let's say, going? Was you said 2 seasons with the Galaxy, 1 year with the Berlin Thunder, and then now ultimately going to, let's say, the Carolina Panthers and going so forth in that direction? How did that come?
Well, at the end of the season, we lost the World Bowl against Amsterdam Admirals that year in 2005. So I went back to Mexico, and I was planning to travel to Argentina with my wife and my older son. And we were just about to travel, and then I got a call from the Carolina Panthers, and they told me that I was invited to the training camp, and they sent me a flight ticket, and I traveled to Carolina. It was an amazing experience. It was really hard because when I was thinking that my game speed was good at good level. Yeah. I see I met the level, the game speed in NFL. It was wow. It was totally different. It was like competing from sorry for what I'm gonna say, but
no, it's okay.
Like in a bicycle race and then go to a F1 race. So it was the game speed was really hard, really different, very fast.
Okay.
Yeah. And amazing. And you went you were at the practice field, and everybody wants to know who you are just because you are wearing the uniform. So it doesn't matter if you are Mexican or other country. The people there, the fans, they saw you with the gear.
Yeah.
And they want to know everything about you. People there thought I was the kicker because I was Latin.
Yeah. In this time at the Carolina Panthers, I don't remember the name, but they had the quarterback who played also in the NFL Hero, who lost then later the Super Bowl to the Patriots.
Jake Delhomme.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Jake Delhomme.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember that because you say the German, but back to the Berlin Thunder. You say you go to the World Bowl against the Amsterdam Admirals. that was my first NFL Hero game I watched, and it was in Düsseldorf. We played against the Amsterdam Admirals in the stadium, and I'm from Dresden. I'm 700 kilometers away, and I told my mom I'm driving the car for my dad, and I go with a colleague, and he has also a driver license, and everything is fine. We split the time, like 8 hours in the car, but he has no driver license. So I'm driving alone to watch this game 700 kilometers away. And I remember that it was a great game. Yeah, just to. So I see you play probably.
Yes.
That's
amazing.
That's,
Yeah, a lot of people from Germany move everywhere to see the World Ball. For example, in 2003, my first World Ball, it was at Scotland.
Oh yeah, the Scotland. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot the name about the Scotland.
The Claymores.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
So
it was big time. Yeah.
Yeah, they travel a lot to watch the games. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And but back to the NFL. How was it then, and how you end up then? You make it to the roster, or you get some playing time, or how was it with the Carolina Panthers then?
Sorry, say it was.
It's hanging.
Can you repeat again the question, please? My internet connection is a little bit.
Yeah,
bad.
don't worry. Yeah, how was the final time then with the Carolina Panthers? You make the roster, or you get cut, or you get playing time. How was it then?
Well, I play in the first training camp game against the Redskins, like a couple minutes, the last one in the fourth quarter. And then I played to the last game in the preseason game. It was against Pittsburgh Steelers. And I played from the second quarter to the end, especially with the special teams. But as a receiver, I get in the rotation from the third quarter. So I have game time there. And I caught a pass for 6 yards. For me, it was like caught a touchdown, but it was only 6 yards at the end of the game. But it was great for me.
Yeah.
And the next day, I got a call from the head coach, John Fox, and he told me that I wasn't in the roster, but they wanted to bring me for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
But so I got caught. But I was planning just to get retired after that, because I decided that because I was 27 years old, and I thought that it was time for me to get a regular job and spend more time with my family, because every time I travel to Europe, I have to be away from my son and my wife, and it was hard. It was really hard for me. So I decided to get retired and start coaching. But I was the whole training camp there with the Panthers. So I got retired at my best football level.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no matter what, if it was a second or 10 years, you make a dream comes true. Be an NFL player on the roster, get a ball. You know, your name is in the books forever. You had the chance to get. I mean, I always say when I would take everything with me, my helm, my jersey, everything. Was there a chance, because we heard already the NFL is really strict in that, you had a chance to get your jersey at least from the Panthers?
Yeah, I got my jersey.
Okay.
I want to bring my helmet, but they didn't let me.
This is the thing because we had in the past a lot of German guys who played in the NFL, and you always think, oh my goodness, I mean, this is a helmet, and these NFL teams have so much money, but they really say they're looking at you. They're looking at you that you not take the damn helmet outside. I was like, oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. But no, it's a lot of respect. It's a lot of great stations as a player, of course.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then from that point, like you just said, I mean, you decided, you know what, this is like the pinnacle, this is the top that I'm probably going to play at. And like you said, you want to be closer to family and so forth. You want to go to coaching. How did that ultimately now lead you to going the college way? Were you already coaching before, a little bit on the side, or how did that come to be now?
Yeah, I really love to teach. If I wasn't a coach, probably I were a professor at some school.
Okay.
So when I was 17 years old, I started to coaching youth football, like kids from 9 years old, and I never stopped coaching. So when I get back to Mexico, I start my first head coaching job was at a small college in Querétaro,
Okay.
UVM, and they have a football program for youth football and also high school
Okay.
level. So
And
I start there. I
and
started coaching there, and then I got invited to coach at college in Mexico State. It's very close to Mexico City. It's pretty much the same city.
Okay.
And I spent 5 years being a receiver coach there. And then I got the opportunity, the chance to be part of this team here in Tech Puebla.
Okay, and this was all as a full-time coach. You're already getting this straight into.
Yes, this is some of the things that I like here in Mexico, because a lot of schools have full-time coaches,
Okay.
and you don't have to be like a math teacher or other thing. You can be really involved in football.
Okay.
For example, in States, United States, if you are in most of the high school teams, you have to be like another kind of teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
Besides coaching football.
Right.
But here in Mexico, you can be a full-time football coach, even if you are only a high school coach. In some schools, not every school, of course, depends of the size of the school. But for example, here in my program, in my school, we are 10 coaches, and 9 of the 10 coaches, we are full-time. We only have one coach who is part-time.
Wow.
So we are pretty much like in USA.
Okay.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes, because we can really be full-time involved in football all the time. So that's great. We do what we love.
No, that's something that, to be honest, a lot of people, I think, and especially like, I mean, you know, this with the business also being out here in Europe a little bit, NFL Europe, but a lot of people don't understand, like, you know, like in Mexico, they have that where, like you said, some schools have the opportunity to be full-time because, you know, I guess the schools take it seriously, right? It's very competitive in Mexico, the level of football.
That's right. Very competitive.
Very competitive. I mean, how like you said, I think in the pre-talk, you said you would compare the level in Mexico to what in the States? Division 3?
Division 3 and sometimes Division 2.
Okay. Okay. In your respective program that you've been at since 2012, how is the structure that you have and that, let's say, has changed over the years in your vision and so forth? Because you've been there for a while, you know, and of course, like, did you already have, let's say, the facilities that you had now, or did that come part of results and so forth?
Well, at the beginning, we have a very small budget, and also like our offices were really small. We were like in a classroom, just close to each other in one small room.
Okay.
Right now we have a better office, bigger, and the recruiting is getting better also every year because the results that we have, our program is every year we graduate like 10 to 15 players, so the student athletes. So that's big even here in Mexico. So our program is very successful in academics, and in football also. Almost every year we are in the playoffs. Well, in 2017 and 2018 we didn't get to the playoffs, but our team is one of the well, we are in the top 10 teams in Mexico.
Mhm.
So we are every year we are getting better in both parts, in academics and also sports.
So like in Mexico, I assume it's like the States, right? You have to have like a minimum grades to be able to play. Is it the same?
Yeah, exactly. You have to pass like 65% at least of your academic year, at least. If you have like 63% only, you cannot play. You
Okay.
are not eligible to play.
Is that like at the beginning of the season, or is that also like on a week-to-week basis? Because like for example, for us in high school, it was also like beginning of the year and also week to week.
Let me see. It's like you have like from January to August.
Uh-huh.
That's the first part. You have to have that 65%.
Okay.
But then during the season, you cannot take classes. How do you say that? Like off. You cannot put down courses. So you have to keep you have to keep at least 4 classes.
Okay.
Like for example, I don't know, math, English, well, 4 classes
Right.
at least. If you have 3, you are not eligible during the season.
Okay.
So this is just a little bit similar to what you say.
It's similar to the States how it is. Okay. I mean, like you said, like you guys tend to be very highly focused in education. Like we kind of talked about too. It's like you also want coaches that are also focused also on the success of the individual players' education, because that's priority for you. I mean, in terms of recruiting, does that play a big role in Mexico? Because like I don't know how the setup is in high school with football and grades. Like, is that a very big hurdle when you guys are looking at recruiting wise, or how is that?
Well, we have to watch every part of every detail of the player that we recruit, just like in USA.
Right.
But especially for Tec de Monterrey, it's really hard. The academic is really hard. So we cannot recruit a player with low grades. So the school asks us to recruit a player who from high school have a grade like in a scale from 1 to 10, they have to have at least 8.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm talking about the final grade from high school. So if he is like 7.5, he cannot be here, not in Tec de Monterrey. It's really hard, but because the school is really hard. So if you recruit a player with that kind of grade, probably you wanna lose him in some point of his career. So we have to take care of our investment.
Right. I mean, talking about, because you said just right now, especially you said right now it's an investment. Is it also kind of like the States when people are on scholarship, like their tuition is paid for? Do they have somewhere to stay, meals? Is that all covered within the scholarship?
Well, in our case, yes, but depends of the school.
Okay.
Even from Tec de Monterrey, we have differences.
Okay.
For example, our normal or regular scholarship is 90% of the, and that's for the academics.
Okay.
But we have dorms,
Uh-huh.
so we can provide housing in a dorm,
Okay.
and also 2 meals a day, like breakfast and lunch. That's it. So the student athlete, they have to pay 10% for the school, and then he has to pay for the dinner or the meals that they have besides the breakfast and lunch. And they have the chance to pay for their own apartment if they want, but we can provide the dorm.
Okay.
But doesn't happen in every program. For example, in Tec de Monterrey campus Querétaro, they don't have meals and they don't have dorms for the student athletes. Only the academic scholarship.
Okay. So like for you guys, how much is that 10% normally? If what the players have to pay, how much is that normally? The 10%. Do you know how much that is average?
Let me think in dollars. Probably it's like $1,000
per semester.
Per semester, yes.
Oh, actually, yeah. I'm just thinking about it because I went private school in the States, and it was like $700 a month.
Wow.
You know, because I went to Division III, and our tuition was $25,000 a year, or wait, $25,000 a year. So that's a lot of money. You know, when you kind of think about kind of the differences a little bit. That's very interesting.
You're having players from other countries on scholarships, like we see in the United States, and like French, German, Swiss, Swedish guys getting scholarships. You're having this in Mexico also a little bit, or not?
Yes, especially in our program, we are very interested in have a international experience for the team.
Yeah.
So sometimes we don't have the budget to travel a lot outside of Mexico. I mean,
yeah.
So we bring players like 2 years ago in 2018. We have a nose tackle from Michigan, a big guy, big dude.
Yeah.
He played also in Division I, and we get him a master's degree scholarship. So he played with us in 2018. He got married, so he stopped playing. So that's it wasn't good for us. But we had Japanese players before, and we have a guy from Italy, and also a guy from Venezuela. So we could bring people here to play with us. But like in 2012 or 2013, I don't remember, we had a player from Sweden. He was in a regular exchange program, so he could play for us. So that's another way. You are in exchange program, you can go like a walk-on. You can play with us.
We had, I remember in Algoy Comets, we had a guy that went to Tecnológico Monterrey. And a buddy of mine that I played with out here in Germany when I played, he went and studied a year because he also studied engineering or something. And I remember showing up, and when his practice jersey was the jersey for Monterrey, and I'm like, I know that team. You know? But anyhow, I think for you guys, how many years of eligibility do you get? It's not 4, right? It's more, isn't it?
It's more, yes.
How many years?
Yes, well, in CONADE, you could play 7 years, but the 7th year you must be in a master degree.
Master's degree, okay.
But in the other league that we are now, ONEFA, you could play until you are 25 years old. But the last year you have to be at master degree.
It's interesting.
Wow. That's probably cool for some kids out there. I mean, spending your college time in Mexico, I mean, the worst place to be. Nice weather, awesome. It's a
good food too.
Great school, great
yes.
football. It's a lot of things. So feel free to send us some messages if you're interested.
We'll get everybody in contact with Coach Lira, and maybe somebody wants to go from Germany. There's some good players. That's the thing, because like right now with the NFL pathway program and the CFL pathway program, the issue is like they look at a lot of guys, let's say 21 to 25, but to be honest, it's more younger, let's say 21 to 23. And if you don't fit that, for the most part, they're not going to bring a guy. But like, I mean, you know this too, like a lot of guys that probably you played with over here in NFL Europe, they were probably still going to school somehow. And that's kind of a possibility because we have a lot of guys that are still going to school that are good enough to play in the NFL, CFL, but because they're 24, 25, sometimes they say, like we can't take you because, I mean, you know this too as a coach, especially at that level, they're going to try to take the younger guys now.
Yes,
definitely.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
How's the level of coaching in Mexico compared to the States? Because I mean, I think you're a guy that also goes and you learn in the States. You go to universities. You also go to the coaches clinic. How would you say the level of football IQ and coaches is in Mexico compared to the United States?
Well, as I said, most of the teams have full-time coaches, and they have the chance to go to programming in states, like for the spring camp for a week or something like that. You can see it in the FCA convention. You can see a lot of coaches from Mexico traveling to states to this convention.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of my colleagues, they are improving every year. So the competition is harder and harder, not just in recruiting or football, just also in getting better in knowledge, in football knowledge. So especially right now that you can see a lot of conferences in Zoom by coaches from states, you can see a lot of Mexicans taking the clinics. So I think the level of football knowledge here for the coaches, I think is pretty good, pretty good.
Do you guys also have conventions or clinics like college ones in Mexico for Mexican coaches? Or like you said, everybody normally goes to the States for conventions?
Well, yes. For with this lockdown, we have like a lot of clinics by Mexican coaches too, but also we have conventions. We have something pretty similar to the FCA.
Uh-huh.
We also call it or name it FCA M for Mexico.
Okay.
In Spanish, we say AFCAM.
AFCAM, okay.
And we talk about football, just exactly like the FCA convention states, just in Mexico. But in the last 2 years, we didn't have that.
Okay.
Because the main the committee.
Right.
The main the president was the head was named head coach in Mexico State, so he hasn't enough time to organize everything. So everything was suspended.
Okay. Normally, when do you guys have that convention? Around when?
During the summer.
In the summer. Okay.
During the summer.
I guess this year's not happening either because we have Corona.
No, no, but a lot of people were asking that we should do it again in using the technology. I mean, the clinics by the internet, and that would be a good start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting, because especially like you just said right now. I mean, I know I was doing this when the Corona thing started. There's the coaching summits and all that. They did it free. The AFCA was offering coaches free memberships just to keep everybody connected to in the coaching deal. But that's very interesting. And then now with, I don't know if you guys have had this already, but now you have the professional league, the LFA in Mexico.
Correct.
How is that serving now as an alternative now? Because especially for a guy like you being able to play professional NFL Europe and essentially NFL, how is that now serving guys that, let's say, maybe they're not good enough to play NFL or CFL, but now they can play professionally in Mexico? Because from what you were telling me and from what I've seen post too, the LFA has become pretty big in Mexico.
Well, the league is getting better, improving every year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the chance to be selected by the CFL and participating in Canada football, I think is a big chance, a big opportunity for Mexican players to be part of. So I think that's a great thing with this league, because this league is like the first step to get in that league. But in the other hand, if you don't have the talent to be part in the CFL, as a coach from a college, we don't see it like a very good opportunity for our student athletes, because we want them to be part of the industry or the business or everything, because they have a scholarship to be a professional in something. So not sport. So, but if we see a guy who has the talent to be part of the professional football, we would love to push the kid in that direction, of course.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very, very good chance for Mexican players.
Do you know? I mean, I don't know if you know directly, but do the Mexican players make okay money in that league to be able to support themselves, or is it kind of like maybe European standards?
It's not like for living. I think it's just something that you get to spend time. I mean, you travel to your city to the practice field, and that's it. You get paid every game, not the whole year. So you cannot live with this salary.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think the people who play there is just for fun or get in CFL.
Right. Because I've also seen some Americans that I think, for the most part, more this year have gotten signed to play there. There's been a few guys that played in Europe that signed to play in Mexico. But, you know, like for us, we don't really, for the most part, we know more, at least for us in Europe, we know the States, and then Europe. We don't really get much exposure to, let's say, Mexico. I mean, the only time I got some exposure from Mexico was, you probably know them too, the Podium.
Yep.
The Podium, like I mean, I know the owners, they're good friends of mine. I've worked for them, and they're the ones that were telling me more about, like Will Powell, he was telling me more about it, because I guess right now they're more centrally focused on Mexico because you do have the university system too. So that's kind of where I started hearing more about Mexico, and I was surprised, you know, to kind of hear like that's what's going on. And now you're looking at, let's say, guys like, what's his name? Isaac Alarcon.
Isaac Alarcón.
That came from your competitor.
Tec de Monterrey.
Tec Monterrey. I mean, are you seeing this now where you're saying, hey, like you just said right now, if you do see a guy that says has potential to go NFL, CFL, are you seeing over the years more guys that you say, hey, these guys can play professional at the highest level that, let's say, you were involved in?
Yeah, I think we have players with great skills, great speed, and in the case of Isaac Alarcón, they have the size also. Okay. So he definitely can play. He have to adjust to the game speed and everything, of course, but he gonna be improving. I know he's a great player, great competitor. So I think in the future we can have more cases like him. Definitely.
That's very interesting. Just looking at it, where you're saying, I mean, that makes me happy because, you know, I have a Mexican heritage, and I remember even that was the one thing that kind of exposed me to it. Where even my mom, now that she lives in Mexico, she's a teacher. She kind of always wanted me to go to Mexico. If I would have known this sooner, that you can play until you're 25, I probably would have tried that. But, you know, maybe coaching, because I do have technically almost the dual passport I can get. But that's interesting because, like we talked about, we have a lot of guys that can still play the game a few more years, and especially for schools like you know, education. And that's kind of the big thing that we do over here too. It's like, it's great if a guy can play for some top teams and basically make some pocket money, you know, but for us, I mean, especially for me, I'm like, go get an education, finish your school. You know? I always tell guys, like when I was in France last year, we had some good players that played in the German football league. And I told them, like, if you're going to go somewhere, go there for 3-4 years, get them to help you so you get an education, get something out of it. Because like you just said, I mean, football, it's not going to be forever. And
yes.
Education, that's the big thing. Definitely.
Right.
What is now looking at it? Because this is now essentially year 8, 9 for you.
This is gonna be my 9th season.
What are you now looking at, vision-wise and so forth, for your program, right? Because you said you're considered one of the top 10 teams. You do have the new league that's coming together. Yeah, you have Corona, but I'm pretty sure you have a vision saying this is where I want to take this program now, especially with that new unified system.
Well, first of all, I wanna the whole country watching us like a very solid program, not just only in academics,
Okay.
also in football.
Okay.
Because most of the teams or the media, they see us like a underdog every time, and we want to be seen like a very solid competitor to get the championship. Last year we beat some of the best teams in the country. We improved a lot. We had a great season last year, so this year we have to be better than last year, and the next one get the championship. If not, if it's not this year, it have to be the next one. I think every step counts. So that's the main goal for us.
Okay. In the new season schedule, who are the top teams you're playing this year or supposed to play this year? That you say, hey, these are some. Let's say for us over here in Europe, if you tell us to watch this game, we're going to watch those games. Like who are the top, let's say, 2 teams you're playing this season?
Well, of course, Monterrey Tech, los Pumas EU,
Okay.
and also Aztecas UDLAP. Those 3 teams we're gonna face this year. They are very good teams.
And I think
definitely the ones that we have to beat.
I think Pumas has a big stadium, right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of people.
Pretty big.
That's what I'm saying. Like we talked about before, the player that played for me, played linebacker. He would show me videos and all his rings, because I guess they're winning championships all the time. But the stadium, you see pictures of it. It's crazy, But no, I mean definitely. We hopefully everything works out with the Corona thing. This is the one thing. I mean, I understand there's the whole pandemic and people are trying to be safe. What I think is very interesting is how you guys in Mexico are handling this, where, as a coaches and as an institute, you're still focused on your kids going to school, but also at the same time preparing for hopefully the season, So that's very interesting where every country is different right now. But we wish you nothing but the best, and we're going to, especially, we'll keep in touch, and hopefully everything works out and you guys can kick off the season and we can watch these games.
Yeah.
So we appreciate having you on and you taking the time out of your day. It's been a pleasure to talk and everything, okay?
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Then have a good one and God bless.
Be safe. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Have a good one.
Adiós.
Adiós. Cuídate.